there's an awful lot of investigation to be done. As far as I know, they haven't read the Army black box. They have reportedly have a combined voice and data recorder on the Black Hawk, and that's probably going to be the most critical piece of evidence. If the speculation about the altitude deviations and the misidentifying, perhaps, of the American airliner for another airplane in the area, all that should be answered by the black box aboard the Black Hawk helicopter. I don't know that they actually, I think I've read that they have that in their possession. I don't think they've read it yet. The other issue is going to be whether or not they were actually on the so-called night vision goggles. Those can be difficult to use. I'm not a helicopter pilot. I've flown fixed wings out of that airport, but I've flown in helicopters with night vision goggles, and they're designed for tactical use. You're trying to find enemies that are hiding from you, but using them in a urban environment, if you will, might not be the best idea. But again, these are things to be investigated. Right now, all we can do is speculate, I guess, about where this investigation might go. But of course, the NTSB is going to look at every aspect of the people, the machines, and the environment.
Well, I know there's a lot of speculation going on right now, which is not always the friend of the investigator. Doctor, can you tell me the process? Once you get these black boxes out of the water, what happens to them? How are they treated, and where do they go?
Well, there's an NTSB lab, actually, a data recorder and voice recorder lab about a mile from the accident site in this case. And I believe they'll also be able to read the military recorder, which is a much newer device than the American Airlines aircraft had. But they first of all, they download the data. Excuse me. And then they when it comes to the voice recorder, of course you want people that knew the deceased to be in the room. There's really not a lot of question as to who's speaking, but you want people that knew those people to be present. So they'll listen to the voice recorder with people that are familiar with the individuals. And that'll take some time because they want to get the transcript absolutely correct. And everybody's got to agree that's actually the words that were said. This is why the NTSB takes its time releasing this information. The data recorder, of course, is all electronic. It's probably going to take days to make sure that it's correct. And of course, we've got two vehicles here, the helicopter and the airliner. So again, a lot of elbow work in the NTSB lab, like I said, which is a mile from the accident site.
Fascinating. If I'm understanding you correctly, though, the voice recorder, knowing that they were about 300-400 feet off the ground, and this was very, very quick in the way that it happened, the voice recorder is what's going to probably provide more insight than the data. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, what I've said in my books is that the data recorder normally tells you what happened. Listening to the voice recorder, even things like the voice inflections give you a lot of information about what might have been going on in the heads and minds of the pilots. I'm an aviation psychologist. Things like speaking mannerisms, and of course, as we get excited, our voice goes up in pitch. So those are the kind of very subtle clues that the investigators will be listening to. And of course, the other thing they'll do, particularly with the helicopter, is create an out-of-cockpit view. It's called an oculometric study. But so from each pilot's viewpoint, if this American airliner was obstructed by structure like the door frames and so on. So again, a lot of forensic work needs to be done, and the NTSB is going to be very, very careful and very meticulous about examining things like this out-of-cockpit view, voice inflections, and of course, obviously the electronic data provided by the recorders and the radar. So this has all got to be correlated and validated before they're going to make any pronouncements. So I can speculate, as long as your listeners know that this is only speculation, but the process is very arduous and very demanding, and it is a team process. The Army will be there, the air traffic controller unions, the pilots unions, everybody works together on this, even though the NTSB is leading the investigation. There's a lot of, they call them parties to the investigation, and they all get to review the data to make sure it is as advertised.
Doctor, I've only got about a minute left. I don't want to have to cut you off, but I've never talked to an aviation psychologist before. Would wearing night vision goggles while flying a Black Hawk helicopter increase the stress load on the pilot?
Particularly in this environment, yes.